Introduction. My story. Hey there, have you ever felt stuck in a rut, wondering why you can't seem to change certain habits or achieve your goals? Maybe you've tried numerous times to start a new habit, like exercising regularly or eating healthier, only to fall back into old patterns. If this sounds familiar, then Atomic Habits is the book for you. In this book, James Clear offers a step-by-step guide to forming good habits, breaking bad ones, and mastering the tiny behaviors that lead to remarkable results. Imagine being able to effortlessly incorporate small changes that compound over time to create a significant impact on your life. That's the power of Atomic Habits. James Clear's journey into the world of habits began with a life-altering injury. On the final day of his sophomore year of high school, he was hit in the face with a baseball bat, leading to severe injuries and a long recovery process. This experience taught him the value of small, consistent actions in overcoming obstacles and achieving success. Through his recovery, he discovered that making tiny improvements every day was the key to his progress. These small habits, though seemingly insignificant at first, compounded over time to produce remarkable results. Clear applied these principles not only to his recovery, but also to his academic and athletic achievements, eventually leading him to become a top-performing athlete and scholar. The concepts in this book are not just theoretical, they are practical strategies that have been tested and refined. Clear draws on a range of disciplines, including biology, neuroscience, philosophy, and psychology, to provide a comprehensive framework for understanding and changing your habits. So, if you're ready to take control of your habits and transform your life, join me on this journey. Atomic Habits will show you how to make tiny changes that yield extraordinary results. Whether you want to lose weight, improve your productivity, or develop a new skill, the strategies in this book can help you achieve your goals. Let's dive in and discover how tiny changes can make a big difference. Chapter 1. The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. Hi there. Welcome to the journey of mastering your habits. Let's dive into the surprising power of Atomic Habits and how they can transform your life. First off, let's talk about what an atomic habit is. An atomic habit is a small habit that is part of a larger system. Just like atoms are the fundamental building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the tiny routines and behaviors that together form our daily lives. On their own, these habits might seem insignificant, but when you string them together, they can create powerful outcomes. Think of it this way. Imagine a plane flying from Los Angeles to New York City. If the pilot decided to adjust the heading just 3.5 degrees south, the plane wouldn't end up in New York. Instead, it would land in Washington, D.C. Such a small change is barely noticeable at takeoff, but it has a huge impact over the distance of the flight. The same principle applies to our habits. Small changes and tiny improvements might not seem like much at the moment, but over time, they can have a profound impact on our lives. This is the essence of the 1% rule, improving just 1% each day. These small improvements add up, creating compounding effects that can lead to significant changes. You might be wondering, how can something so small make such a big difference? Let me give you a real-world example. Consider a standard sheet of paper. If you fold it in half, then fold it again, and keep folding it, it quickly becomes thicker and harder to manage. After just 10 folds, it's as thick as your hand. Imagine if you could fold it 50 times, it would reach the sun. This is the power of compounding in action. Let's bring it back to daily life. When I started writing, I committed to writing just one page each day. One page isn't much, and on any given day, it didn't feel like I was making significant progress. But over the course of a year, those daily pages added up to a book. This is the power of tiny habits. It's not about making radical changes, but about making small, manageable improvements consistently. Another example comes from the world of sports. The British cycling team was once an underperforming group with little success on the international stage. But that changed when they hired Dave Brailsford as their new performance director. Brailsford introduced a strategy called the aggregation of marginal gains, focusing on making tiny improvements in every area of their performance. They improved everything from the riders' nutrition to the ergonomics of their bike seats. These small, seemingly trivial changes added up, and within a few years, the British cycling team dominated the Olympics and the Tour de France. You see, the power of atomic habits lies in their ability to compound over time. Each small habit builds upon the last, creating a foundation for significant improvement. The challenge, however, is staying consistent and believing in the process, even when progress seems slow or invisible. One of the reasons small habits are so powerful is that they're easier to maintain. Anyone can commit to flossing one tooth, doing one push-up, or writing one sentence a day. These small actions don't require a lot of motivation or willpower, but they can lead to remarkable outcomes when done consistently. So, what small habit can you start today? Remember, the goal isn't to make a massive change overnight, but to make tiny, consistent improvements that add up over time. Whether it's reading a page of a book each day, taking a 5-minute walk, or saving $1, start small and build from there. As we continue this journey together, I'll show you how to identify your habits, make tiny changes, and sustain these improvements over the long term. You'll discover how small habits can lead to big results, and how you can apply these principles to achieve your goals and transform your life. Stay with me, and let's unlock the surprising power of atomic habits together. You're just a few small changes away from a new life. Chapter 2: How your habits shape your identity and vice versa. Let's talk about a fundamental concept that can dramatically shift the way you think about habits: the relationship between your habits and your identity. Most people start the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads to outcome-based habits. They set goals like, I want to lose weight, or I want to write a book. While these are great goals, the problem is that they focus solely on the result. Instead, I want you to shift your perspective. Think about who you want to become. This is the essence of identity-based habits. When you focus on the type of person you want to be, you naturally gravitate towards the habits that reinforce that identity. For example, instead of setting a goal to run a marathon, think about becoming the type of person who is a runner. A runner is someone who runs regularly, not just someone who completes one race. The key is to start with the identity you want to embody and let your habits naturally flow from there. Let me share a personal story to illustrate this point. When I started writing, my goal wasn't just to publish articles. I wanted to become a writer. By focusing on being a writer, I adopted habits that a writer would have: writing every day, reading extensively, and seeking feedback to improve my craft. Over time, these habits reinforced my identity as a writer, and the outcome, publishing articles, followed naturally. Think about a time when you wanted to change a habit but struggled to stick with it. Perhaps you wanted to eat healthier, but you saw yourself as someone who loves junk food. This identity can sabotage your efforts. However, if you shift your identity to seeing yourself as a healthy eater, you start making choices that align with that identity. The process of changing your habits is really the process of changing your identity. Each small habit is a vote for the type of person you want to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. Let's take another example from sports. When someone starts lifting weights, they might set a goal to lift a certain amount, but if they think of themselves as an athlete, they will adopt the habits that athletes have: regular training, proper nutrition, and adequate rest. This identity shift leads to consistent habits, which in turn lead to achieving their goals. Now, let's talk about how to actually make this identity shift. It starts with a simple 2-step process. 1. Decide the type of person you want to be. This could be influenced by your goals, values, or the people you admire. For example, if you admire a friend who is always on time, you might decide you want to be someone who is punctual. 2. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Each time you perform a habit that aligns with your desired identity, you are casting a vote for that identity. These small wins add up and provide evidence that you are becoming the person you want to be. Let's say you want to become someone who is more organized. Start by tidying up a small area of your workspace each day. Each time you do this, you reinforce the identity of being an organized person. Over time, these small actions accumulate, and you'll find yourself naturally adopting more organized habits. Remember, habits are not about having something, but about becoming someone. They shape not only what you do, but also who you are. By focusing on the type of person you want to become, you make it easier to adopt habits that align with that identity. Think about your current habits and the identities they reinforce. Are they aligned with who you want to be? If not, start small. Identify a new identity you want to adopt and begin casting votes for it with tiny, consistent actions. Changing your identity is not an overnight process, but with patience and persistence, you can transform yourself through the power of small habits. As you continue this journey, you'll find that the habits you build not only shape your behavior, but also redefine who you are. Stay with me, and together we'll explore more about how to build better habits and become the person you aspire to be. Chapter 3: How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. Response. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of building better habits. Understanding how habits work is crucial to mastering them. In this chapter, we'll break down the habit formation process into 4 simple steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Let's dive in. 1. Cue. The cue triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. It's a bit like an alarm clock going off, signaling that it's time to take action. Cues can be anything from a time of day to an emotional state. For example, seeing your running shoes by the door can be a cue to go for a run. Cues can be divided into 5 categories: time, location, emotional state, other people, immediately preceding action. Identifying your cues is the first step to mastering your habits. Think about a habit you want to change or establish. What are the cues that trigger this behavior? Understanding these triggers can help you manipulate them to your advantage. Number 2. Craving. The craving is the motivational force behind every habit. Without craving, there is no reason to act. We don't crave the habit itself, but the change in state it delivers. For instance, you don't crave brushing your teeth, you crave the feeling of a clean mouth. Cravings are about the feelings and emotions that drive your habits. They are the desires that make habits compelling. If you can link a habit to a positive craving, you're more likely to stick with it. For example, if you crave relaxation, you might link that feeling to a habit of reading a book before bed instead of scrolling through your phone. 3. Response. The response is the actual habit you perform, which can take the form of a thought or an action. The response depends on your ability and motivation. For example, if you're motivated to exercise but don't know how to start, you might not respond to the cue of seeing your running shoes. The response is also influenced by the friction of performing the habit. The easier it is to perform a habit, the more likely it is to happen. This is why setting up your environment to reduce friction is so important. For example, if you want to drink more water, keeping a water bottle on your desk makes it easier to respond to the cue of feeling thirsty. 4. Reward. The reward is the end goal of every habit. It satisfies your craving and teaches your brain whether this particular habit loop is worth remembering for the future. Rewards provide positive reinforcement for the behavior, making it more likely that you'll repeat the action next time. Rewards can be intrinsic or extrinsic. Intrinsic rewards are internal, like the feeling of accomplishment or happiness. Extrinsic rewards are external, like a treat or a sticker. Combining both types of rewards can be very effective in habit formation. For example, after completing a workout, you might feel a sense of achievement, intrinsic, and allow yourself to watch a favorite TV show, extrinsic. Let's look at a practical example of these 4 steps in action. Imagine you want to start a habit of meditating every morning. Cue. You set an alarm on your phone that says meditate at 7 a.m. Craving. You crave the calm and focus that meditation provides. Response. You sit down in your designated meditation spot and meditate for 5 minutes. Reward. You feel a sense of peace and clarity, and you reward yourself with a delicious cup of coffee. To build better habits, you need to work on optimizing these 4 steps. Make the cue obvious. For example, if you want to start flossing, place the floss right next to your toothbrush. Make the craving attractive. Find ways to make the habit appealing. If you want to run in the morning, lay out your favorite running clothes the night before. Make the response easy. Reduce the friction by simplifying the habit. Start with just 2 minutes of meditation or one push-up. Make the reward satisfying. Ensure the reward is immediate and enjoyable. This helps your brain associate the habit with positive outcomes. Let's break this down with a modern example. Suppose you want to limit your social media usage. Here's how you might apply the 4 steps. Cue. Your phone buzzes with a notification. Craving. You crave distraction or a quick hit of dopamine from social interactions. Response. Instead of opening the social media app, you read a page of a book you're enjoying. You've placed it next to your phone as a reminder. Reward. You get lost in a great story, satisfying your craving for distraction and enjoyment without the negative side effects of excessive screen time. Remember, habits are like plants. They need time, care, and the right conditions to grow. By focusing on these 4 steps, you can cultivate habits that lead to a healthier, happier, and more productive life. So, take a moment to think about a habit you want to build or change. How can you adjust the cue, craving, response, and reward to make it stick? Let's keep exploring and refining these concepts together as we journey toward better habits. Chapter 4. The Man Who Didn't Look Right. Let's dive into an intriguing story that illustrates the power of observation and how small habits can make a big difference. In the 1970s, a Dutch scientist named Adriaan de Groot conducted a study on chess players. He wanted to understand what separated grandmasters from ordinary players. What he found was fascinating. Grandmasters could recall the positions of pieces on a chessboard after just a few seconds of observation. This wasn't because they had better memories, but because they had practiced so much that they could recognize patterns at a glance. This concept of pattern recognition extends far beyond chess. It's about the habits we build and how they shape our ability to recognize patterns in everyday life. Let me tell you a story about a man who mastered this skill to an extraordinary degree. In the 1980s, a man named Bill had a peculiar talent. Bill was a stock trader, and his unique skill was spotting irregularities in the market. He could look at a screen filled with numbers and graphs and instinctively know when something was off. His colleagues marveled at his ability to predict market changes with uncanny accuracy. One day, Bill was looking at the market data and noticed something strange. The numbers didn't make sense, and the patterns he had come to expect were absent. He had no concrete evidence, but his gut feeling told him something was wrong. He decided to trust his instincts and pulled all his investments out of the market. A few days later, the market crashed. Bill's colleagues were stunned. How had he known? Bill explained that it wasn't some mystical power, but years of observing the market and recognizing patterns. His habits of meticulous observation and analysis had honed his instincts to the point where he could sense when things were out of the ordinary. This story highlights the importance of cultivating habits that enhance our ability to observe and recognize patterns. Whether it's in the stock market, chess, or everyday life, these skills can provide a significant advantage. To build such habits, consider these steps. 1. Practice deliberately. Focus on the areas where you want to improve. For example, if you want to get better at recognizing patterns in data, spend time each day analyzing charts and graphs. The more you practice, the sharper your instincts will become. 2. Reflect regularly. Take time to reflect on your experiences and what you've learned. This helps reinforce the patterns you've observed and makes it easier to recognize them in the future. Keep a journal or log where you record your observations and insights. 3. Seek feedback. Get feedback from others who are more experienced or have different perspectives. This can provide new insights and help you see patterns you might have missed. Join a community or find a mentor who can guide you. 4. Stay curious. Cultivate a mindset of curiosity and continuous learning. The more curious you are, the more likely you are to notice things that others might overlook. Read widely, ask questions, and explore new areas of interest. In our daily lives, we often overlook the power of observation. But by developing habits that sharpen our ability to notice patterns, we can enhance our decision-making and intuition. It's like tuning an instrument. The more you practice, the better you become. Let's consider a modern example. Suppose you're trying to improve your health. By paying close attention, to how different foods and activities affect your body, you can start to recognize patterns. Maybe you notice that you feel more energized on days when you eat a healthy breakfast, or that your mood improves after a walk in the park. These observations can guide you in making better choices and developing habits that support your well-being. Similarly, in the workplace, developing the habit of keen observation can help you identify opportunities and potential problems before they become significant issues. By noticing patterns in team dynamics, project progress, or market trends, you can take proactive steps to address challenges and capitalize on opportunities. The story of Bill and the stock market crash reminds us that our habits shape our ability to navigate the complexities of life. By building habits of observation, reflection, and continuous learning, we can enhance our intuition and make better decisions. So, what habits can you start developing today to sharpen your observation skills? How can you become more attuned to the patterns in your life and work? As we continue this journey together, let's explore these questions and discover the power of small habits in shaping our ability to recognize and respond to the world around us. Chapter 5. The best way to start a new habit. Starting a new habit can feel daunting, but there's a simple approach that can make the process much easier. It's called the 2-minute rule, and it's designed to help you ease into new habits by making them so easy that you can't say no. The idea is straightforward. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. This might sound trivial, but it's a powerful strategy. The goal is to make your habits as easy as possible to begin. Once you start, it's much easier to keep going. Let's say you want to develop a habit of reading every night. Instead of committing to reading one chapter or for 30 minutes, your goal is to read just one page. That's it. One page takes less than 2 minutes. The barrier to entry is so low that it's hard to make an excuse not to do it. Once you start reading, you might find yourself wanting to read more than one page, but the key is that you've begun. This strategy works for a variety of habits. If you want to start exercising, commit to just putting on your workout clothes. Once you're dressed, you're more likely to exercise. If you want to start meditating, sit down for just 2 minutes. These tiny actions build the foundation for larger habits. The 2-minute rule leverages the idea that the most important part of any new habit is starting. It's easier to keep doing something once you've begun. By focusing on the first 2 minutes, you lower the barrier to entry and make it easier to build consistency. Let's look at another example. Suppose you want to write every day. Instead of setting a goal to write for an hour, start with just writing one sentence. Writing a single sentence takes hardly any time, but it gets you started. More often than not, you'll find yourself writing more once you begin. The power of the 2-minute rule lies in the fact that it helps you build a habit of showing up. It's about creating a ritual that signals to your brain that it's time to start. Over time, this ritual becomes ingrained, and the habit becomes automatic. Consider the story of Twyla Tharp, one of the world's greatest dancers and choreographers. She uses a simple ritual to start her day. Every morning, she wakes up, puts on her workout clothes, and heads to the gym. The habit isn't about the workout itself, it's about the act of getting ready and going to the gym. Once she's there, the workout follows naturally. By focusing on the initial action, you create a gateway to more significant behavior. The 2-minute rule helps you overcome procrastination and inertia, making it easier to take that first step. To implement the 2-minute rule, follow these steps. 1. Choose a habit you want to start. Identify the habit you want to build. It could be anything from reading more books to exercising regularly. 2. Scale it down. Break the habit down into a 2-minute version. Make it so easy that you can't say no. For example, if you want to start running, begin with tying your running shoes. 3. Focus on consistency. Commit to doing the 2-minute version of your habit every day. The key is to build the habit of showing up consistently. 4. Gradually increase. Once the habit is established, you can gradually increase the time and effort you put into it. Start with 2 minutes, then move to 5, 10, and so on. The beauty of the 2-minute rule is that it removes the pressure of perfection. You don't need to run a marathon or write a novel, you just need to take a small step in the right direction. These small steps add up over time, leading to significant changes. Think about a habit you've struggled to start. How can you apply the 2-minute rule to make it easier? By breaking it down into the smallest possible version, you'll find it much easier to begin and build momentum. The 2-minute rule is a powerful tool in your habit-building arsenal. It simplifies the process of starting new habits, making it more likely that you'll stick with them. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and in this case, that step only takes 2 minutes. Chapter 6. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. Motivation is often seen as the key to building good habits and breaking bad ones, but there's a more reliable factor at play: your environment. The spaces we live and work in have a profound impact on our behavior. By designing your environment to support your desired habits, you can make positive changes almost effortlessly. One of the most significant insights into behavior change is that our habits are largely influenced by the cues around us. These cues can either trigger good habits or bad ones, depending on how they're set up. If you want to eat healthier, for instance, keeping fresh fruits and vegetables within easy reach and junk food out of sight can make a big difference. Consider the story of Anne Thorndike, a primary care physician at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. She wanted to improve the eating habits of her patients without requiring them to make a conscious decision. Thorndike and her team conducted a study in the hospital cafeteria. They changed the environment by rearranging the food options so that healthier choices were more accessible and visible. Simply by changing the placement of items, they were able to significantly improve the dietary choices of the hospital staff and visitors. This principle can be applied to any habit you want to form. If you want to exercise more, make your workout gear easily accessible. If you want to read more, place books in every room of your house. The easier it is to access the tools and resources for your desired habit, the more likely you are to engage in that habit. Conversely, if you want to break a bad habit, make it harder to access. If you're trying to reduce your screen time, put your phone in another room when you're working or studying. By increasing the friction required to engage in the habit, you reduce the likelihood of following through on it. Here's a practical example from my own life. When I wanted to develop a habit of drinking more water, I placed water bottles in several locations around my home and office. By making water easily accessible, I found myself drinking more without having to consciously remind myself to do it. Another powerful strategy is to create a dedicated space for your habits. If you want to meditate, set up a small, quiet corner in your home just for meditation. If you want to study, create a distraction-free study area. These dedicated spaces act as cues that signal to your brain that it's time to engage in the specific habit. Our environment also includes the people we surround ourselves with. Social environments can significantly influence our habits. If your friends or colleagues engage in behaviors you want to adopt, you're more likely to follow suit. This is why joining a group or community that supports your desired habits can be incredibly effective. Consider the example of a weight loss group. Members of the group share a common goal and support each other's efforts. This social support creates an environment where healthy eating and regular exercise are the norms, making it easier for each member to maintain these habits. In addition to altering your physical and social environment, you can also use visual cues to support your habits. Visual cues are powerful reminders that can keep you on track. For instance, if you want to floss your teeth every night, place the floss on top of your toothbrush. The sight of the floss will remind you to use it. Another effective technique is habit stacking. This involves pairing a new habit with an existing one. For example, if you already have a habit of making coffee every morning, you can stack a new habit on top of it, such as doing a 5-minute stretch while the coffee brews. The existing habit acts as a cue for the new one, making it easier to establish. Let's summarize the key points on how to design your environment to support better habits. 1. Make good habits easy to access. Arrange your environment so that the tools and resources for your desired habits are within easy reach. 2. Increase friction for bad habits. Make it more difficult to engage in habits you want to break by adding obstacles or removing triggers. 3. Create dedicated spaces. Set up specific areas in your home or workplace that are reserved for the habits you want to establish. 4. Leverage social influence. Surround yourself with people who support and engage in the habits you want to build. 5. Use visual cues. Place reminders in strategic locations to prompt you to engage in your desired habits. 6. Practice habit stacking. Pair new habits with existing ones to create a seamless routine. By designing your environment thoughtfully, you can create a supportive context that makes it easier to build good habits and break bad ones. Remember, while motivation can ebb and flow, your environment is a constant influence on your behavior. Harness its power to create the life you want. Chapter 7. The Secret to Self-Control. Self-control is often seen as a virtue, a trait that can be developed and strengthened with enough willpower. However, research shows that the people who appear to have the most self-control are often those who are least tempted. The secret to self-control is not about being strong in the face of temptation, but rather about avoiding it altogether. Imagine you're trying to eat healthier. If your pantry is stocked with cookies, chips, and soda, you're constantly battling the temptation to indulge. But if you don't bring those items into your home in the first place, you eliminate the need for self-control. This is a concept known as environmental design, and it's a powerful strategy for behavior change. The idea is to create an environment where the right choices are the easiest ones to make. Instead of relying on sheer willpower to resist temptations, you can design your surroundings to minimize exposure to those temptations. This approach conserves your willpower and makes it more likely that you'll stick to your desired habits. Let's consider the example of a smoker who wants to quit. If they continue to spend time in places where others are smoking, the temptation to light up is always present. However, if they avoid these environments and seek out smoke-free spaces, they reduce their exposure to the trigger and make it easier to quit. This strategy applies to various aspects of life. If you want to focus on your work without getting distracted by your phone, place your phone in another room. If you want to exercise regularly, set up your workout area at home so that it's easy to get started. By removing the obstacles and temptations, you make it easier to stick to your goals. One of the most effective ways to improve self-control is through the principle of choice architecture. This involves structuring your environment in a way that nudges you towards better decisions. For instance, placing healthier foods at eye level in your fridge and pantry encourages you to choose them over less healthy options. The concept of choice architecture is well illustrated by the work of behavioral economist Richard Thaler and legal scholar Cass Sunstein. In their book Nudge, they describe how small changes in the environment can significantly influence behavior. For example, arranging cafeteria items so that healthier foods are more prominent can lead to better dietary choices without requiring conscious effort. To harness the power of choice architecture in your own life, start by identifying the habits you want to change or develop. Then, think about how you can design your environment to support these habits. Here are a few strategies to consider. 1. Reduce exposure to temptations. Identify the triggers that lead to undesirable behaviors and find ways to avoid them. If you're trying to cut back on TV time, move the TV out of the bedroom or use a timer to limit your viewing. 2. Simplify desired behaviors. Make the habits you want to build as easy as possible. If you want to start flossing, place the floss next to your toothbrush. If you want to read more, keep a book by your bed. 3. Increase friction for undesirable behaviors. Add obstacles to habits you want to break. If you're trying to reduce online shopping, delete shopping apps from your phone and remove saved credit card information from websites. 4. Automate good decisions. Use technology to help you make better choices. Set up automatic transfers to your savings account. Use a meal planning app to streamline healthy eating, or set reminders for important tasks. And 5. Create positive default options. Design your environment so that the default choices are the ones you want to make. For example, set your homepage to a productive website rather than a social media site. By implementing these strategies, you can create an environment that supports your goals and reduces the reliance on willpower alone. The more you design your surroundings to align with your desired habits, the more likely you are to achieve lasting change. Remember, the secret to self-control is not about being constantly vigilant, but about creating an environment where self-control is less necessary. By thoughtfully designing your environment, you can make it easier to build good habits and avoid temptations. Chapter 8: How to make a habit irresistible. Making a habit irresistible involves tapping into the power of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Dopamine is released when we experience pleasure or anticipate a reward. By understanding how dopamine works, we can design habits that are more appealing and easier to stick with. One effective strategy is to combine something you need to do with something you want to do. This technique, known as temptation bundling, makes the necessary task more enjoyable by pairing it with a reward. For example, if you need to exercise but love listening to audiobooks, only allow yourself to listen to your favorite book while working out. This creates a positive association and makes the habit more enticing. Another way to make habits irresistible is to use the concept of variable rewards. This involves introducing an element of unpredictability into the reward system. Slot machines are a perfect example of this. The random payout schedule keeps players hooked. While you don't need to turn your habits into a gamble, you can add variety to keep things interesting. For instance, vary your workouts to keep them exciting, or introduce surprise rewards for completing tasks. Social incentives can also make habits more attractive. We are social creatures, and the approval of others can be a powerful motivator. Joining a group or finding an accountability partner can provide the social support and encouragement needed to stick with a habit. Sharing your progress with friends or participating in challenges can add a fun, competitive element that keeps you engaged. Visualization is another powerful tool. By vividly imagining the positive outcomes of your habits, you can increase your motivation. Picture yourself feeling energetic and healthy after regular exercise, or imagine the sense of accomplishment after completing a project. This mental rehearsal can make the habit more appealing and reinforce your commitment. Creating a ritual around your habit can also enhance its attractiveness. Rituals add a sense of ceremony and importance to the activity, making it something you look forward to. For example, if you want to start a morning meditation practice, create a ritual that includes preparing a special spot, lighting a candle, and playing calming music. The ritual itself becomes part of the reward, making the habit more enjoyable. Finally, focus on the immediate benefits of the habit. While long-term rewards are important, immediate gratification can be a stronger motivator. If you're trying to eat healthier, enjoy the immediate satisfaction of a delicious, nutritious meal. If you're building a writing habit, take pride in each paragraph you complete. By appreciating the small wins, you make the habit more rewarding. To make your habits irresistible, try these strategies. 1. Temptation bundling. Pair a task you need to do with something you enjoy. 2. Variable rewards. Introduce an element of surprise and variety to keep things interesting. 3. Social incentives. Leverage the power of social support and accountability. 4. Visualization. Imagine the positive outcomes and benefits of your habits. 5. Rituals. Create a ritual around your habit to add a sense of importance and enjoyment. 6. Immediate gratification. Focus on the immediate benefits and small wins. By making your habits more attractive, you increase the likelihood of sticking with them. Remember, the goal is to create a positive association with the habit, making it something you look forward to rather than something you have to do. Let's consider a modern example. Suppose you want to develop a habit of studying for an important exam. You could use temptation bundling by allowing yourself to listen to your favorite music only while studying. You could introduce variable rewards by treating yourself to a small reward after each study session, but the reward varies each time. You could join a study group for social support and visualize yourself passing the exam and achieving your goals. Create a study ritual by setting up a dedicated study space, lighting a candle, and making a cup of tea before you begin. Finally, focus on the immediate gratification of learning something new and mastering challenging concepts. By incorporating these strategies, you can make your study habit irresistible and increase your chances of success. Chapter 9. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. Our habits are deeply influenced by the people around us. Family and friends can either support or hinder our efforts to build good habits and break bad ones. Understanding the role of social influence can help you create an environment that fosters positive change. One of the most powerful ways family and friends shape our habits is through social norms. We tend to adopt the behaviors of those around us to fit in and be accepted. If your family has a tradition of eating unhealthy food, you're more likely to follow suit. Conversely, if your friends are fitness enthusiasts, you're more likely to develop healthy habits. The influence of social norms is illustrated by the story of the Vietnamese village of Binh Hoa. In the 1990s, the village had a high rate of malnutrition among children. Jerry Sternin, a researcher, introduced a simple intervention. He identified families with well-nourished children and studied their habits. These families had small but effective practices, like adding shrimp and sweet potato greens to their meals. Sternin encouraged other families to adopt these habits, and over time, the community's nutrition improved significantly. This success was largely due to the influence of positive social norms. To leverage social influence in your own life, consider these strategies. 1. Surround yourself with positive influences. Seek out friends and groups that support your desired habits. Join clubs, classes, or online communities where people share your goals. 2. Be a role model. Your behavior can influence others. By setting a positive example, you can encourage family and friends to adopt healthier habits. Chapter 9. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. Our habits are deeply influenced by the people around us. Family and friends can either support or hinder our efforts to build good habits and break bad ones. Understanding the role of social influence can help you. 3. Create accountability. Share your goals with someone you trust and ask them to hold you accountable. Regular check-ins can provide motivation and support. 4. Establish group norms. If you're part of a group, work together to establish norms that support your goals. For example, if you're in a book club, agree to read a certain number of pages each week. Let's take a modern example. Suppose you want to develop a habit of regular exercise. You could join a fitness class or running group where physical activity is the norm. Seeing others work out regularly will encourage you to do the same. Share your fitness goals with a friend and ask them to check in on your progress. You could also set up a friendly competition or challenge to keep each other motivated. Family and friends can also provide emotional support. Sharing your struggles and successes with someone who understands can make the journey easier. When you face setbacks, having a support system can help you stay on track and persevere. It's important to recognize that social influence can work both ways. Negative influences from family and friends can hinder your progress. If you find yourself in an environment that discourages your efforts, consider ways to minimize these negative influences. This might mean spending less time with certain people or having honest conversations about your goals and why they're important to you. Another strategy is to find a mentor or coach who can guide and support you. A mentor can provide valuable insights, encouragement, and accountability. They can help you navigate challenges and stay focused on your goals. Remember, you have the power to shape your social environment. By surrounding yourself with positive influences and building a supportive network, you can create an environment that nurtures your desired habits. Let's summarize the key points on leveraging social influence to build better habits. 1. Surround yourself with positive influences. Join groups and seek out friends who support your goals. 2. Be a role model. Set a positive example for others to follow. 3. Create accountability. Share your goals with someone who can hold you accountable. 4. Establish group norms. Work with others to create norms that support your habits. 5. Seek emotional support. Share your journey with understanding friends and family. 6. Minimize negative influences. Reduce time spent with those who discourage your efforts. 7. Find a mentor. Seek guidance and support from someone experienced. By leveraging the power of social influence, you can enhance your efforts to build good habits and achieve lasting change. Chapter 10. How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. Bad habits can be frustrating and difficult to break, but understanding their underlying causes is the first step towards change. This chapter will guide you through the process of identifying the root causes of your bad habits and provide strategies to fix them. Bad habits often serve a purpose, even if they're detrimental in the long run. They might provide temporary comfort, distraction, or relief from stress. To change a bad habit, you need to understand what need it's fulfilling. This requires self-reflection and honesty. Let's start with a simple exercise to identify the triggers and rewards of your bad habits. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down the bad habit you want to change. On the right side, list the triggers that lead to this habit and the rewards you get from it. For example, if you have a habit of snacking on junk food late at night, your list might look like this. Bad habit, late night snacking. Triggers, boredom, stress, watching TV. Rewards, temporary relief from boredom, momentary stress relief, enjoyment of the taste. By identifying the triggers and rewards, you gain insight into the purpose the bad habit serves. The next step is to find healthier alternatives that fulfill the same need. This is known as the golden rule of habit change. Keep the cue and reward the same, but change the response. Using the example of late-night snacking, you might find healthier ways to cope with boredom or stress. Instead of reaching for junk food, you could engage in a hobby or activity you enjoy. Practice relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation. Choose healthier snacks like fruit or nuts. The key is to replace the bad habit with a positive behavior that provides similar rewards. This makes it easier to transition and stick with the new habit. Another effective strategy is to use implementation intentions. This involves planning ahead and specifying the actions you will take when faced with a trigger. For example, if you're trying to stop smoking, you might create an implementation intention like this. When I feel the urge to smoke, I will go for a 5-minute walk instead. By having a clear plan, you reduce the likelihood of defaulting to the bad habit. Let's consider a modern example. Suppose you have a habit of checking your phone constantly, even when you're supposed to be working. This habit might be triggered by boredom or the need for a quick distraction. The reward could be the brief pleasure of social media or the satisfaction of staying updated. To address this, you could identify specific times when you're allowed to check your phone and stick to those times. Turn off non-essential notifications to reduce distractions. Use apps that limit your screen time or block distracting websites during work hours. By setting clear boundaries and using tools to support your goals, you can reduce the triggers and rewards associated with the bad habit. Another approach is to use temptation bundling, which we discussed earlier. Pair a behavior you need to do with one you want to do. For instance, if you need to work but want to check your phone, allow yourself to check your phone only after completing a specific task. It's also important to create an environment that supports your desired habits. This might mean rearranging your space to minimize temptations or seeking out environments where your bad habits are less likely to be triggered. Let's summarize the key steps to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. 1. Identify triggers and rewards. Understand what triggers your bad habits and what rewards you gain from them. 2. Replace with healthier alternatives. Find positive behaviors that fulfill the same needs as your bad habits. 3. Use implementation intentions. Plan ahead and specify actions to take when faced with triggers. 4. Set boundaries. Create clear rules and limits to reduce the likelihood of engaging in bad habits. 5. Leverage temptation bundling. Pair necessary tasks with enjoyable activities to make them more appealing. 6. Design a supportive environment. Arrange your space and surroundings to minimize temptations and support your goals. By taking these steps, you can address the root causes of your bad habits and replace them with positive behaviors. Remember, change takes time and effort, but with persistence and the right strategies, you can create lasting improvement. Chapter 11. Walk slowly, but never backward. The journey to building better habits is not a sprint, it's a marathon. The key is to make consistent, incremental progress over time. This chapter emphasizes the importance of taking small steps forward, even if they seem insignificant at first. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to change their habits is expecting immediate results. They set ambitious goals, and when they don't see quick progress, they become discouraged and give up. However, real change happens slowly and gradually. Consider the story of the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, which means continuous improvement. Kaizen focuses on making small, incremental changes to improve processes over time. This approach has been credited with transforming Japanese manufacturing and is now used worldwide to drive efficiency and innovation. In your personal life, applying the principle of Kaizen means focusing on small, manageable improvements each day. Instead of aiming for drastic changes, commit to making tiny adjustments that add up over time. For example, if you want to get in shape, start with just 5 minutes of exercise each day. Once that becomes a habit, increase it to 10 minutes, then 15, and so on. The key is to build the habit of exercising regularly, no matter how small the effort initially. Another powerful concept is the 2-minute rule, which we discussed earlier. This rule encourages you to start with a habit that takes no more than 2 minutes. The idea is to make it so easy that you can't say no. This small start creates momentum and makes it easier to build on the habit over time. Let's look at a modern example. Suppose you want to improve your productivity at work. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire workflow, start with small changes. Spend 2 minutes each morning organizing your desk. Write down 3 tasks you want to accomplish each day. These small actions can lead to significant improvements in your productivity over time. It's also important to celebrate small wins. Acknowledging and celebrating your progress, no matter how small, reinforces positive behavior and keeps you motivated. This can be as simple as giving yourself a pat on the back, sharing your progress with a friend, or rewarding yourself with something you enjoy. Another key aspect of walking slowly, but never backward, is maintaining consistency. Consistency is more important than intensity. It's better to exercise for 10 minutes every day than for an hour once a week. Consistent effort leads to long-term success. To maintain consistency, consider creating a habit tracker. This can be a simple calendar or app where you mark off each day that you complete your habit. Seeing a visual representation of your progress can be motivating and help you stay on track. Accountability is another powerful tool for maintaining consistency. Share your goals with someone who can hold you accountable. This could be a friend, family member, or coach. Regular check-ins can provide encouragement and help you stay committed to your habits. Finally, be patient with yourself. Change takes time, and setbacks are a natural part of the process. If you miss a day or make a mistake, don't get discouraged. Focus on getting back on track and continuing to move forward. Let's summarize the key points for making consistent incremental progress. 1. Focus on small improvements. Make tiny, manageable changes each day. 2. Use the 2-minute rule. Start with habits that take no more than 2 minutes to build momentum. 3. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge and celebrate your progress to reinforce positive behavior. 4. Maintain consistency. Aim for regular, consistent effort rather than sporadic intensity. 5. Create a habit tracker. Use a visual tool to track your progress and stay motivated. 6. Seek accountability. Share your goals with someone who can hold you accountable. 7. Be patient. Understand that change takes time and setbacks are part of the process. By focusing on small, consistent steps, you can build better habits and achieve lasting change. Remember, the journey is long, but every step forward brings you closer to your goals. Chapter 12. The Law of Least Effort. The law of least effort states that when deciding between 2 similar options, people will naturally gravitate towards the one that requires the least amount of work. This principle can be harnessed to build good habits and break bad ones by making the right behaviors easier and the wrong behaviors harder. Our brains are wired to conserve energy whenever possible. This is why we often default to the easiest option available. By designing our environment and routines to align with the law of least effort, we can make it easier to adopt positive habits and avoid negative ones. Let's start with an example from everyday life. Imagine you want to eat healthier. If your kitchen is stocked with junk food and unhealthy snacks are easily accessible, you're more likely to reach for them when you're hungry. However, if you fill your kitchen with fruits, vegetables, and healthy snacks and place them at eye level, you make it easier to choose healthy options. To apply the law of least effort, consider the following strategies. 1. Simplify your environment. Remove obstacles that make good habits harder to perform. For example, if you want to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes and shoes the night before. 2. Automate good decisions. Use tools and technology to automate positive behaviors. For instance, set up automatic transfers to your savings account or schedule regular reminders for important tasks. 3. Reduce friction for good habits. Make the actions you want to take as easy as possible. If you want to read more, keep a book on your nightstand or in your bag. 4. Increase friction for bad habits. Make undesirable behaviors more difficult. If you want to cut back on watching TV, unplug the TV and store the remote in a different room. One of the most effective ways to reduce effort is through habit stacking. This involves linking a new habit to an existing one, creating a seamless routine. For example, if you already have a habit of brewing coffee in the morning, stack a new habit like reading for 5 minutes while the coffee brews. The existing habit acts as a cue for the new one, reducing the effort required to start. Let's consider another modern example. Suppose you want to develop a habit of meditating daily. Instead of trying to carve out new time in your busy schedule, stack the meditation habit onto something you already do. For example, meditate for 2 minutes right after brushing your teeth in the morning. By linking the new habit to an established one, you make it easier to incorporate into your routine. Another way to leverage the law of least effort is to create default options that align with your goals. Defaults are preset choices that require no effort to select. For example, set your default web browser to open to a productivity site instead of social media. Use a meal planning service to automatically create healthy menus and grocery lists. The key is to design your environment and routines in a way that minimizes the effort required to perform good habits and maximizes the effort required for bad habits. This creates a natural inclination towards positive behaviors and away from negative ones. Let's summarize the key points for applying the law of least effort. 1. Simplify your environment. Remove obstacles and make it easy to perform good habits. 2. Automate good decisions. Use tools and technology to streamline positive behaviors. 3. Reduce friction for good habits. Make the actions you want to take as easy as possible. 4. Increase friction for bad habits. Make undesirable behaviors more difficult. 5. Use habit stacking. Link new habits to existing ones to create seamless routines. 6. Create default options. Set pre-made choices that align with your goals. By designing your environment and routines to align with the law of least effort, you can make it easier to build good habits and break bad ones. Remember, the path of least resistance leads to lasting change. Chapter 13. How to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. Procrastination is a common challenge that can derail our efforts to build good habits and achieve our goals. One of the most effective strategies to combat procrastination is the 2-minute rule, which we discussed earlier. This rule helps you overcome inertia and get started on tasks that seem overwhelming. The 2-minute rule states that when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. The idea is to make the habit so easy that you can't say no. This small action creates momentum and makes it easier to continue. Let's say you want to develop a habit of writing every day. Instead of committing to writing for an hour, start by writing for just 2 minutes. This small action is manageable and helps you build the habit of showing up consistently. Once you start, you'll often find that you want to keep going. The key to the 2-minute rule is to lower the barrier to entry. By making the initial action easy, you reduce the friction that leads to procrastination. This principle can be applied to various aspects of your life. Consider the story of Sir Isaac Newton. Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. This principle applies to habits as well. The hardest part is getting started. Once you begin, it's easier to keep going. To apply the 2-minute rule, follow these steps. 1. Identify the habit. Choose the habit you want to develop. It could be anything from exercising to reading to meditating. 2. Scale it down. Break the habit down into a 2-minute version. Make it so easy that you can't say no. 3. Focus on consistency. Commit to doing the 2-minute version of your habit every day. The goal is to build the habit of showing up consistently. Number 4, gradually increase. Once the habit is established, you can gradually increase the time and effort you put into it. Let's look at a modern example. Suppose you want to start a habit of decluttering your home. Instead of committing to a major cleanup, start with just 2 minutes of tidying up each day. This small action is manageable and helps you build the habit of decluttering regularly. Over time, you can increase the amount of time you spend decluttering. Another effective strategy to stop procrastinating is to use implementation intentions. This involves planning ahead and specifying the actions you will take when faced with a trigger. For example, if you want to stop procrastinating on your work, create an implementation intention like this. When I feel the urge to procrastinate, I will work for 2 minutes on my task. By having a clear plan, you reduce the likelihood of procrastination. It's also helpful to create a productive environment that minimizes distractions. If you find yourself procrastinating because of social media or other distractions, consider using apps that block distracting websites during work hours. Arrange your workspace to reduce visual and auditory distractions. Another powerful technique is to use the Pomodoro technique. This involves working for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break. The short bursts of focused work help you stay productive and reduce the tendency to procrastinate. The regular breaks also prevent burnout and keep you motivated. Let's summarize the key points for stopping procrastination using the 2-minute rule. 1. Identify the habit. Choose the habit you want to develop. 2. Scale it down. Break the habit into a 2-minute version. 3. Focus on consistency. Commit to doing the 2-minute version every day. 4. Gradually increase. Increase the time and effort as the habit becomes established. 5. Use implementation intentions. Plan ahead and specify actions to take when faced with triggers. 6. Create a productive environment. Minimize distractions and arrange your workspace to support productivity. 7. Use the Pomodoro technique. Work in short bursts with regular breaks to stay focused and motivated. By applying the 2-minute rule and these additional strategies, you can overcome procrastination and build positive habits that lead to lasting change. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and in this case, that step only takes 2 minutes. Chapter 14. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. To make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible, you need to design your environment in a way that supports positive behaviors and discourages negative ones. This involves creating a system of defaults that make it easier to stick to your desired habits. One powerful strategy is to use commitment devices. A commitment device is a choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior in the future. It's a way to bind yourself to good habits and prevent bad ones. For example, you might lock your credit card in a safe to prevent impulse purchases, or set up automatic savings transfers to ensure you save money each month. Commitment devices help you overcome the weakness of willpower by removing the option to engage in undesirable behaviors. They create a frictionless path to positive habits and add obstacles to negative ones. Let's look at a historical example. The ancient Greek hero Odysseus used a commitment device to ensure his safe passage past the sirens. Knowing that the sirens' song was irresistible and would lead to his ship's destruction, he had his crew tie him to the mast and instructed them to ignore his orders until they were safely past the danger. This pre-commitment allowed Odysseus to hear the sirens' song without succumbing to it. In your own life, consider how you can use commitment devices to lock in good habits and prevent bad ones. Here are a few ideas. 1. Financial commitments. Use automatic transfers to save money or pay off debt. You could also prepay for fitness classes or healthy meal plans. 2. Physical barriers. Create physical obstacles to bad habits. For example, store unhealthy snacks in a hard-to-reach place or keep your phone in another room while working. 3. Social commitments. Make your goals public and ask for accountability from friends or family. Joining a group or club can also provide social support and commitment. 4. Time constraints. Schedule your habits at specific times. For instance, set a daily alarm for your workout or meditation session. Another effective approach is to redesign your environment to make good habits the path of least resistance. This involves making the cues for positive habits more obvious and reducing the friction for engaging in them. Consider the example of a man who wanted to develop a habit of playing the guitar. He found that keeping his guitar in its case made it less likely that he would play it. By placing the guitar on a stand in his living room, he made it more visible and accessible, which increased the likelihood that he would pick it up and play. To redesign your environment, follow these steps. 1. Make good habits obvious. Place cues for positive habits in prominent places. If you want to drink more water, keep a water bottle on your desk. If you want to read more, leave books around your home. 2. Make good habits easy. Reduce the effort required to perform positive habits. Prepare healthy meals in advance. Lay out your workout clothes the night before, or set up your workspace for productivity. 3. Make bad habits invisible. Remove cues for negative habits from your environment. Hide the junk food, turn off non-essential notifications, or delete distracting apps from your phone. 4. Make bad habits difficult. Increase the effort required to engage in negative behaviors. Store your credit card information in a secure place, unplug your TV, or use a password manager to make it harder to access distracting websites. Let's take a modern example. Suppose you want to build a habit of writing every day. You could make writing more obvious by keeping your writing tools visible and accessible. Set up a dedicated writing space with your laptop, notebook, and favorite pens. Make writing easier by starting with just 2 minutes a day and gradually increasing the time. Remove distractions by turning off notifications and setting specific writing times. By designing your environment to support your desired habits, you make it easier to stick to positive behaviors and harder to engage in negative ones. This approach leverages the power of defaults to create a frictionless path to success. Let's summarize the key points for making good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. 1. Use commitment devices. Lock in better behavior by making choices in the present that bind you to positive habits. 2. Make good habits obvious. Place cues for positive habits in prominent places. 3. Make good habits easy. Reduce the effort required to perform positive habits. 4. Make bad habits invisible. Remove cues for negative habits from your environment. 5. Make bad habits difficult. Increase the effort required to engage in negative behaviors. By implementing these strategies, you can create an environment that supports your goals and makes it easier to build good habits and break bad ones. Remember, the key to lasting change is designing a system that makes success the default option. Chapter 15. The Cardinal Rule of Behavior Change. The cardinal rule of behavior change is simple. Behaviors that are immediately rewarded are repeated, and behaviors that are immediately punished are avoided. This principle highlights the importance of immediate feedback in shaping our habits. Immediate rewards and punishments have a more significant impact on our behavior than long-term consequences. While we intellectually understand the benefits of exercising or the dangers of smoking, the immediate experience often outweighs future outcomes. This is why it's crucial to design immediate rewards for positive habits and immediate consequences for negative ones. Let's start with the concept of immediate rewards. To make a habit more appealing, find ways to reward yourself immediately after performing the behavior. These rewards can be intrinsic or extrinsic, but they should provide immediate satisfaction. For example, if you're trying to develop a habit of exercising, you could reward yourself with a relaxing bath or a favorite snack after your workout. If you're building a habit of studying, take a short break to enjoy a hobby, or treat yourself to a small reward after completing a study session. The key is to create a positive association with the habit, making it something you look forward to rather than something you dread. Over time, as the habit becomes ingrained, the behavior itself will become its own reward. Now let's talk about immediate consequences. To discourage bad habits, introduce immediate negative feedback. This can be as simple as adding a layer of discomfort or inconvenience to the behavior. Consider the example of a person who wants to stop biting their nails. They could apply a bitter-tasting nail polish that makes the habit unpleasant. Another example is someone trying to reduce their screen time. They might set up an app that locks their phone after a certain amount of usage, creating a direct consequence for overuse. Let's look at a modern example. Suppose you want to reduce your spending and save more money. You could set up a system where every time you make an unnecessary purchase, you have to transfer an equivalent amount into a savings account. This creates an immediate consequence for spending and a reward for saving. To apply the cardinal rule of behavior change, follow these steps. 1. Identify the habit. Choose the habit you want to develop or eliminate. 2. Create immediate rewards. Design immediate rewards that make the habit more appealing. 3. Introduce immediate consequences. Implement immediate negative feedback to discourage the habit. 4. Focus on the short term. Concentrate on the immediate experience of the behavior rather than long-term outcomes. 5. Adjust as needed. Experiment with different rewards and consequences to find what works best for you. Another powerful tool for behavior change is the use of accountability partners. Sharing your goals with someone who can provide immediate feedback and support can significantly enhance your efforts. Regular check-ins and progress reports create a sense of accountability and encourage you to stay on track. Consider the story of two friends who wanted to lose weight. They made a pact to check in with each other every day and report their food intake and exercise. Knowing that they had to share their progress with each other provided immediate accountability and motivation. Over time, they both achieved their weight loss goals. Let's summarize the key points for applying the cardinal rule of behavior change. 1. Behaviors that are immediately rewarded are repeated, and behaviors that are immediately punished are avoided. 2. Design immediate rewards. Create positive associations with good habits by introducing immediate rewards. 3. Implement immediate consequences. Discourage bad habits by introducing immediate negative feedback. 4. Focus on the short term. Prioritize the immediate experience of the behavior over long-term outcomes. 5. Use accountability partners. Share your goals with someone who can provide immediate feedback and support. By understanding and applying the cardinal rule of behavior change, you can create a system that encourages positive habits and discourages negative ones. Remember, the key to lasting change is to focus on immediate rewards and consequences that shape your behavior. Chapter 16. How to stick with good habits every day. Sticking with good habits every day requires consistency, commitment, and effective strategies to keep you on track. This chapter will provide practical tips and techniques to help you maintain your habits and make them a permanent part of your life. One of the most powerful tools for maintaining consistency is habit tracking. A habit tracker is a simple visual tool that helps you monitor your progress and stay accountable. It can be as straightforward as marking off each day you complete your habit on a calendar or using a dedicated app to track your progress. The act of tracking your habits provides immediate feedback and creates a sense of accomplishment. Seeing a streak of completed days can be highly motivating and encourage you to keep going. If you miss a day, don't get discouraged. Focus on getting back on track and continuing your streak. Another effective strategy is to create a ritual around your habit. Rituals add a sense of ceremony and importance to the activity, making it something you look forward to. For example, if you want to start a habit of journaling, create a ritual that includes finding a quiet spot, lighting a candle, and using your favorite pen. The ritual itself becomes part of the reward, making the habit more enjoyable. Accountability partners can also play a crucial role in helping you stick with your habits. Sharing your goals with someone who can provide support and encouragement can make a significant difference. Regular check-ins and progress reports create a sense of accountability and help you stay committed to your habits. Consider the example of a person who wants to develop a habit of exercising regularly. They might find a workout buddy who joins them for workouts and holds them accountable. Knowing that someone else is counting on them provides additional motivation to stick with the habit. Setting specific, achievable goals is another important factor in maintaining good habits. Vague goals like exercise more are less effective than specific ones like exercise for 30 minutes, 3 times a week. Clear goals provide a roadmap for your habits and make it easier to measure your progress. It's also essential to focus on the process rather than the outcome. Instead of fixating on the end result, concentrate on the daily actions that will lead you there. For example, if you want to write a book, focus on writing a certain number of words each day rather than worrying about the entire book. This shift in perspective makes the task more manageable and reduces the pressure to achieve immediate results. Rewarding yourself for sticking with your habits is another powerful motivator. These rewards can be intrinsic, like the satisfaction of completing a task, or extrinsic, like treating yourself to something special. The key is to find rewards that are meaningful and enjoyable for you. Let's consider a modern example. Suppose you want to develop a habit of meditating daily. Here are some strategies to help you stick with it. 1. Use a habit tracker. Mark off each day you meditate on a calendar or use an app to track your progress. 2. Create a ritual. Establish a meditation ritual that includes finding a quiet space, lighting a candle, and playing calming music. 3. Find an accountability partner. Share your meditation goals with a friend or join a meditation group for support. 4. Set specific goals. Aim to meditate for a specific amount of time each day, such as 5 minutes. 5. Focus on the process. Concentrate on the act of meditating each day rather than the long-term benefits. 6. Reward yourself. Treat yourself to something enjoyable after completing your meditation session. By implementing these strategies, you can increase your chances of sticking with your habits and making them a permanent part of your life. Remember, consistency is key. The more you practice your habits, the more ingrained they become. Let's summarize the key points for sticking with good habits every day. 1. Use a habit tracker. Monitor your progress and stay accountable with a visual tool. 2. Create a ritual. Add a sense of ceremony and enjoyment to your habits. 3. Find an accountability partner. Share your goals with someone who can provide support and encouragement. 4. Set specific goals. Establish clear, achievable goals to guide your habits. 5. Focus on the process. Concentrate on the daily actions rather than the outcome. 6. Reward yourself. Find meaningful and enjoyable rewards for sticking with your habits. By incorporating these strategies into your routine, you can build good habits that last and create lasting positive changes in your life. Chapter 17. How an accountability partner can change everything. An accountability partner can be a game changer when it comes to building and maintaining good habits. This chapter explores the power of accountability and how having a partner can significantly enhance your efforts. Accountability partners provide a sense of social support and responsibility. Knowing that someone else is aware of your goals and progress can motivate you to stay committed and push through challenges. The simple act of sharing your goals with another person makes them more real and tangible. Consider the example of two friends, Sarah and Emily, who decided to train for a marathon together. By holding each other accountable, they were able to stay motivated, stick to their training schedule, and achieve their goal. They checked in regularly, shared their progress, and encouraged each other on tough days. The social support and shared commitment made the journey more enjoyable and successful. To find an accountability partner, look for someone who shares similar goals or values. This could be a friend, family member, colleague, or even an online community. The key is to find someone who is supportive, reliable, and committed to mutual accountability. Once you have an accountability partner, establish clear expectations and guidelines. Discuss your goals, agree on regular check-ins, and decide on the format of your updates. This could be daily text messages, weekly phone calls, or monthly meetings. The frequency and method of communication should suit both partners and fit into your schedules. Here are some tips for making the most of your accountability partnership. 1. Be honest and open. Share your successes and challenges openly. Honesty builds trust and helps both partners grow. 2. Provide constructive feedback. Offer encouragement and constructive feedback. Focus on progress and solutions rather than criticism. 3. Celebrate milestones. Acknowledge and celebrate each other's achievements. Celebrating milestones reinforces positive behavior and keeps motivation high. 4. Stay consistent. Maintain regular check-ins to ensure ongoing support and accountability. Consistency is key to a successful partnership. 5. Adapt as needed. Be flexible and adapt your approach as needed. If something isn't working, discuss it and make adjustments. Let's consider a modern example. Suppose you want to develop a habit of reading more books. You could find a friend who shares this goal and agree to check in with each other weekly. Share your reading lists, discuss the books you're reading, and set goals for the number of pages or chapters to read each week. This accountability helps you stay committed to your reading habit and enjoy the journey together. Accountability partners can also be found in group settings. Joining a club, class, or online community focused on your goals provides a built-in support system. These groups offer a sense of camaraderie and collective accountability, making it easier to stay on track. For example, if you want to improve your fitness, joining a fitness class or online workout group can provide the accountability and support you need. The social aspect of the group adds an extra layer of motivation and makes the experience more enjoyable. Let's summarize the key points for leveraging an accountability partner to enhance your habits. 1. Find a suitable partner. Look for someone who shares similar goals and values. 2. Establish clear expectations. Agree on goals, check-in frequency, and communication methods. 3. Be honest and open. Share your successes and challenges openly. 4. Provide constructive feedback. Offer encouragement and focus on progress and solutions. 5. Celebrate milestones. Acknowledge and celebrate each other's achievements. 6. Stay consistent. Maintain regular check-ins for ongoing support. 7. Adapt as needed. Be flexible and make adjustments as necessary. By leveraging the power of an accountability partner, you can significantly enhance your efforts to build and maintain good habits. The support, encouragement, and shared commitment make it easier to stay on track and achieve your goals. Chapter 18: The Truth About Talent: When Genes Matter and When They Don't. Talent and genetics play a role in our abilities, but they are not the sole determinants of success. This chapter explores the interplay between talent, hard work, and habits, and how you can leverage your strengths to achieve your goals. While it's true that genetics can influence certain traits and abilities, it's important to recognize that talent alone is not enough. Consistent effort, practice, and the right habits are crucial for developing and honing your skills. Consider the story of Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time. Phelps certainly has genetic advantages, such as his long wingspan and large feet. However, it's his relentless work ethic, disciplined training, and consistent habits that have made him a champion. Phelps' success is a result of years of practice, dedication, and the habit of showing up every day to put in the work. The concept of deliberate practice is key to developing talent. Deliberate practice involves focused, intentional effort to improve specific aspects of your performance. It's not just about putting in the hours, but about practicing with purpose and pushing your limits. To leverage deliberate practice, follow these steps. 1. Identify your goals. Clearly define what you want to achieve and the skills you need to develop. 2. Break down the skills. Identify the specific components of the skill and focus on improving each one. 3. Seek feedback. Get feedback from coaches, mentors, or peers to identify areas for improvement and refine your practice. 4. Practice regularly. Consistent practice is essential for progress. Set aside dedicated time for deliberate practice each day. 5. Track your progress. Monitor your progress and adjust your practice routine as needed. Let's look at a modern example. Suppose you want to become a skilled pianist. Start by identifying your goals, such as mastering a particular piece or improving your technique. Break down the skills involved, like finger positioning, rhythm, and dynamics. Seek feedback from a music teacher and practice regularly, focusing on specific aspects of your performance. Track your progress and make adjustments as needed. It's also important to recognize your natural strengths and interests. While you can develop skills in any area, focusing on your strengths can accelerate your progress and make the journey more enjoyable. When you align your habits with your natural abilities, you create a powerful synergy that enhances your performance. Consider the story of Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Williams has natural athleticism, but it's her dedication, rigorous training, and consistent habits that have propelled her to the top. By focusing on her strengths and putting in the work, she has achieved extraordinary success. To identify your strengths, reflect on activities where you excel and feel most engaged. These are areas where you're likely to have a natural aptitude. By building habits around your strengths, you can maximize your potential and achieve your goals more effectively. Let's summarize the key points for leveraging talent, hard work, and habits. 1. Talent and genetics. Play a role. Recognize the influence of genetics, but understand that talent alone is not enough. 2. Consistent effort and practice. Focus on deliberate practice to develop and hone your skills. 3. Identify your goals. Clearly define what you want to achieve and the skills you need to develop. 4. Break down the skills. Focus on improving specific components of the skill. 5. Seek feedback. Get feedback to identify areas for improvement and refine your practice. 6. Practice regularly. Set aside dedicated time for deliberate practice each day. 7. Track your progress. Monitor your progress and adjust your practice routine as needed. 8. Focus on your strengths. Align your habits with your natural abilities to maximize your potential. By understanding the interplay between talent, hard work, and habits, you can leverage your strengths and develop the skills needed to achieve your goals. Remember, consistent effort and the right habits are key to unlocking your full potential. Chapter 19. The Goldilocks Rule. How to stay motivated in life and work. The Goldilocks Rule states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are just right in terms of difficulty. Not too hard, not too easy, but just right. This chapter explores how to apply the Goldilocks Rule to stay motivated and engaged in your life and work. The concept is simple. Tasks that are too easy become boring, while tasks that are too difficult lead to anxiety and frustration. The key to maintaining motivation is to find the sweet spot where the challenge is manageable but still pushes you to grow and improve. Consider the story of tennis legend Roger Federer. Throughout his career, Federer has maintained his motivation and passion for the game by continuously challenging himself. He sets goals that are ambitious yet achievable, ensuring that he stays engaged and motivated. This approach has helped him remain at the top of his sport for over 2 decades. To apply the Goldilocks Rule in your own life, follow these steps. 1. Set challenging but achievable goals. Identify tasks that push you to grow without overwhelming you. Break down larger goals into smaller, manageable steps. 2. Seek immediate feedback. Regular feedback helps you stay on track and make adjustments as needed. It also provides a sense of progress and achievement. 3. Adjust the difficulty. If a task becomes too easy or too hard, adjust the difficulty to maintain the right level of challenge. This keeps you engaged and motivated. 4. Track your progress. Monitor your progress and celebrate small wins. Seeing your progress reinforces your motivation and encourages you to keep going. 5. Find your flow. Engage in activities that allow you to enter a state of flow, where you're fully immersed and enjoying the process. Flow is the optimal state for motivation and productivity. Let's look at a modern example. Suppose you want to learn a new language. If you start with material that is too basic, you'll quickly become bored. On the other hand, if you dive into advanced content too soon, you'll feel frustrated and discouraged. The key is to find materials that match your current level and gradually increase the difficulty as you improve. Seek feedback from language exchange partners or apps, track your progress, and adjust the difficulty to stay motivated. The Goldilocks Rule also applies to your work environment. Finding the right balance of challenge and skill can help you stay motivated and engaged in your job. If your work is too easy, seek out new responsibilities or projects that push you to grow. If it's too difficult, break tasks into smaller steps, seek support from colleagues, or improve your skills through training and practice. Another powerful tool for maintaining motivation is the concept of identity-based habits, which we discussed earlier. By focusing on becoming the type of person who engages in the desired behavior, you create a powerful internal motivation. For example, instead of setting a goal to write a book, focus on becoming a writer. This shift in identity helps you stay motivated and committed to your habits. Let's summarize the key points for applying the Goldilocks Rule to stay motivated. 1. Set challenging but achievable goals. Identify tasks that push you to grow without overwhelming you. 2. Seek immediate feedback. Regular feedback helps you stay on track and provides a sense of progress. 3. Adjust the difficulty. Keep tasks at the right level of challenge to maintain engagement. 4. Track your progress. Monitor your progress and celebrate small wins. 5. Find your flow. Engage in activities that allow you to enter a state of flow. 6. Focus on identity-based habits. Shift your focus to becoming the type of person who engages in the desired behavior. By applying the Goldilocks rule and these additional strategies, you can stay motivated and engaged in your life and work. Remember, the key to lasting motivation is finding the right level of challenge and continuously pushing yourself to grow and improve. Chapter 20. The downside of creating good habits. While building good habits is essential for personal growth and success, it's important to recognize that there can be downsides to creating habits. This chapter explores the potential pitfalls and how to address them to maintain a balanced and fulfilling life. One of the main downsides of habits is that they can lead to complacency and stagnation. When a behavior becomes automatic, it's easy to stop thinking critically about it. This can result in a lack of progress and a failure to adapt to new circumstances. Consider the story of a successful entrepreneur who developed a habit of following a strict morning routine. While this routine initially helped him achieve great success, he eventually became so rigid in his habits that he missed opportunities for innovation and growth. His unwillingness to adapt led to stagnation in his business. To avoid complacency, it's important to regularly review and reassess your habits. Ask yourself if your habits are still serving your goals and if there are ways to improve or adapt them. This process of reflection helps you stay flexible and open to new opportunities. Another potential downside of habits is that they can lead to tunnel vision. When you become overly focused on your habits and routines, you might miss out on the bigger picture. This can limit your creativity and prevent you from exploring new possibilities. To counteract tunnel vision, make time for activities that encourage exploration and creativity. This could include trying new hobbies, traveling, or engaging in brainstorming sessions. By stepping outside your routine, you can gain fresh perspectives and inspire new ideas. Habits can also create pressure and stress, especially if you set overly ambitious goals or become too rigid in your routines. This pressure can lead to burnout and negatively impact your well-being. To maintain balance, it's important to build flexibility into your habits. Allow yourself to adjust and adapt your routines as needed. Remember that it's okay to miss a day or take a break. The goal is to create sustainable habits that support your long-term well-being. Let's consider a modern example. Suppose you've developed a habit of working out every morning. While this habit is beneficial for your health, it can become stressful if you push yourself too hard or feel guilty for missing a workout. To maintain balance, listen to your body and adjust your workouts as needed. Allow yourself rest days and prioritize recovery to prevent burnout. Another downside of habits is that they can lead to dependency. When you rely too heavily on specific routines or tools, you might struggle to adapt when circumstances change. This can limit your ability to respond to new challenges and opportunities. To build resilience, practice flexibility and adaptability in your habits. For example, if you usually meditate in a quiet room, but find yourself in a noisy environment, try adapting your practice to include walking meditation or using noise-canceling headphones. By developing the ability to adapt, you can maintain your habits even in changing circumstances. Let's summarize the key points for addressing the potential downsides of creating good habits. 1. Avoid complacency. Regularly review and reassess your habits to ensure they're still serving your goals. 2. Counteract tunnel vision. Make time for activities that encourage exploration and creativity. 3. Manage pressure and stress. Build flexibility into your habits and allow yourself to adjust as needed. 4. Prevent dependency. Practice flexibility and adaptability in your routines to maintain resilience. By being mindful of these potential pitfalls and addressing them proactively, you can create habits that support your growth and well-being while maintaining balance and flexibility. As we wrap up this journey through Atomic Habits, I hope you've gained valuable insights and practical strategies to build better habits and achieve lasting change. Remember, the power of tiny habits lies in their ability to compound over time, leading to remarkable results. By understanding the principles of habit formation, designing your environment to support positive behaviors, Leveraging the power of social influence and accountability, and staying motivated with the Goldilocks rule, you can create a system that makes success inevitable. Throughout this journey, it's important to remain flexible, adaptable, and open to continuous improvement. Regularly review and reassess your habits to ensure they're still serving your goals, and make adjustments as needed to stay on track. Building and maintaining good habits is a lifelong process, but with the right mindset and strategies, you can create a fulfilling and successful life. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and each small habit brings you closer to your goals. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of atomic habits. I wish you all the best on your journey to building better habits and achieving lasting success. Keep moving forward, and remember that even the smallest changes can make a big difference.